Good afternoon, everybody. As most of you know, we have a raw bar, a vegan vegetarian bar in the Hemisphere's cafeteria. And after we had it up and running, when we started, we thought it was a good idea that we get in touch with Matt and David and have some sort of a rapport and have them come down. And a year later, here they are. So I'm just going to tell you a little bit about these gentlemen. Matt Amsden has quickly established himself as one of the premier raw chefs in the Southern California and the world. Matt's company, RAWvolution, is the first of its kind, delivering gourmet raw food meals throughout the United States. Originally from Ontario, Canada, Matt began eating a diet of 100% raw foods virtually overnight after hearing an interview with author-lecturer David Wolfe on The Howard Stern Show. Matt's desire to learn more about raw food preparation led him to Santa Monica, California, the heart of the raw food movement, where he soon began to share his talent with hundreds of people, including celebrities such as Margaret Cho, Woody Harrelson, Courtney Love, and Alicia Silverstone. RAWvolution, more than a cookbook, RAWvolution is the indispensable, all-inclusive guide to many powerful benefits of raw food. David Wolfe is the author of the best-selling books Eating for Beauty, The Sun Food Diet Success System, and Naked Chocolate. David is the co-founder of the leading voice on the continuously evolving online magazine where subscribers are motivated and brought up to speed on all the leading insights and strategies available in many fields, including health, success, beauty, fitness, maximum joy, sensuality, wealth, generation, and peak performance. Additionally, David Wolfe is the president of the Fruit Tree Planting Foundation, a nonprofit organization whose mission is to plant 18 billion fruit trees on planet Earth, when time allows. David plays drums with a rock and roll group, the Healing Waters Band. Eating for Beauty describes how to cleanse, nourish, and beautify by utilizing the benefits of fresh food diet. As David said, after the question and answer period, and we are going to go upstairs where the Chef Jason, who handles most of our raw food and vegan vegetarian options, has prepared a couple of items from each of your book following the recipes. I hope it's going to be okay. And that's it. So without further ado, Matt Amsden and David Wolfe.
Thank you. Hello, Googlers. My name is Matt, and I want to give you a heartfelt thank you for coming to check out our presentation today. It really shows a lot of courage, really, to be interested in something that up until recently has been, sort of fringe almost, and we're now at the cutting edge of what is in store for the future for, just survival on this planet. I think we're pretty aware now. Finally, people are starting to realize that what we have to do to maintain as a species, and we're actually at that point right now. And how we can, the best way to start moving towards that kind of sustainability is with ourselves. So what we do 3 times a day, every day, of course, is going to have a huge impact on that. And eating is one of the main ways that we interact with the planet. And to take a conscious look at what we're eating and how we're eating is pretty important. So for those of you who are new and don't even know what living foods or raw foods are, I'll give you a basic breakdown, and at any time if you have any questions and you want to jump in with those, that would be fine. So what we're talking about with raw food is somewhat self-explanatory. It's food that hasn't been cooked, so it hasn't been exposed to heat above around 105 degrees or so. And why would we want to do that? What's the benefit of not exposing food to heat? the three things that I normally like to cite in terms of benefits for that, first one is water. When you ever notice the first thing that you see when you're cooking something is all the steam coming off of it, and that's the water in the food. And the media and doctors are saying, telling us always to drink more water, and I think it's up to like 65 glasses a day or something now. But and that's partially why that's so important, is because people are eating food that is devoid of natural water. So not only is cooked food not have a high water content, but it also dehydrates the body in the attempt to digest it. So if you think about like a cucumber versus a pork chop, in terms of water content, everything that you eat needs to be turned into a liquid to be digested. So it's quite a bit easier to turn a cucumber into liquid than a pork chop. So water content, and a lot of the raw food materials and books talk about enzymes, which are really responsible for every metabolic process that happens in the body, from digesting food to healing. Even blinking your eyes on some level has to have an enzyme. There's an enzyme present in the body to do that. And cooked food, does anybody know what percentage of enzymes are destroyed when food is cooked? Guesses? Just take a guess. 100%. 100%. Exactly. So that's kind of a lot. Right? That's just about all of it. So, and I would think if there was enzymes in there to begin with, then it's probably that's probably something that's kind of important. And the third thing is nutrition, which is really the only reason that we eat. I kind of like the taste as well myself, but I mean the process of eating is really a function for getting nutrients into the body, and food tastes good so that we'll want to do it. And when you're cooking food, it can destroy up to about 80 to 85% of the food's nutrition, and that's just what it had to begin with. And as you know, today's farming and the soil quality that we have is quite a bit different than what we did even 50 years ago. So the food that we're getting to begin with is already a little less than it was in years past. But the good news is if we're eating organic food, we're getting maybe 30 to 50% more nutrition than the same food grown conventionally. And if we're eating it raw, then we get all of the benefits that it has when it comes out of the ground. You get to eat, rather than exposing it to heat and making it a little less than it was. And for me, I feel like I can't really afford 80% less of what I'm doing. It's like running the vacuum cleaner over the carpet without it running. It's just sort of, you're just sort of going through the motions, but you're not getting the full benefit. That was a good metaphor, right? I just made that one up. Let me just write that down. And beyond a scientific, those are pretty scientific sounding reasons. And those are what attracted me to this lifestyle initially. But when it comes down to it, in reality, once your head is around the logistical reasons for why to do it, and you're convinced, so to speak, and you start doing it, it becomes about something completely different, which is, wow, I feel 150 times better than I've ever felt in my life. And that's what really gets people. I mean, no one's going to leave here and experiment with anything like this, or really give it a try because I said that 100% of the enzymes are destroyed. Really, you're going to try the food, and you're going to notice that, wow, there's something really different to this. This is more alive than anything I've ever taken in before. And if I were to do this all the time, wow, would I feel this good all the time, and maybe even better? Because the effects are really cumulative, in that, each day that goes by and you're, continually giving yourself the best fuel ever, what's going to happen? It's like running a Formula One race car on, the unleaded that they sell at the corner. It's just, if you can get it to work, it's still not like really peak performance. And I feel like I'm doing myself the biggest favor to just give my body the best, give myself the best. And when that's fun, why wouldn't you do it? Because anybody can go on a really strict diet and be, well, I've got to do this because, this is the thing that's better for me. I don't ever feel like I'm sticking to a diet, and really I've just created the best lifestyle for myself where I eat the most gourmet food on the planet that tastes absolutely amazing. I eat chocolate for breakfast every day and lose weight, and I'm having a great time. So why wouldn't I continue doing that? And this is really, it's not really that austere or regimented. It's actually very opulent. When we're talking about the best quality food, you inherently are using the finest ingredients on the planet. Like a cafe in Santa Monica, California, and we spend more on food than any restaurant on the planet. I mean, we're buying vanilla beans from Madagascar, stone crushed oil from Spain, just every high-end perfect ingredient that we can get our hands on. Like we go out searching for the most expensive olive oil in the world and then buy that. So it's a different paradigm than other restaurants or other ways of eating, and it's really, you can think about it as being, who doesn't want to live like that? Who doesn't want to eat the greatest gourmet, beautiful food that they can every day? And when it's working like it does, I mean, we were out, till the wee hours, and last night, and got a couple hours sleep, and came in here and feel as good as ever, because we're feeling like, we're giving our body everything that it needs, and it actually takes you to a superhuman level, really. And it's interesting because when I first heard of all of this, by way of David, I really felt honored that I was presented with this information, because 90%, or a lot of people on the planet today will live and die live their whole lives and never have even heard of this concept, let alone get the opportunity to not only try it, but make it their way of life, eat the types of foods that we have access to. I mean, here in New York, for instance, there's a half a dozen raw food restaurants, a really good raw food delivery service that you guys should check out. And just the most amazing foods from all over the world. And as I said, if we, taking advantage of the access that we have, and reaping the benefits of that is absolutely, we're really lucky. Does anybody have any questions about what I've said, or any? Yes, David.
I like the idea of chocolate for breakfast. Mm-hmm. That appeals to me greatly. How am I going to give up the bacon cheeseburger that I'm craving for dinner tonight?
For dinner.
And go to cucumbers and carrots.
Well, the good news is it's not just cucumbers and carrots. And I mean, cucumbers and carrots are great, and there's a lot more. I mean, people think that this maybe is a thing where there's less variety, like, it's just fruits and vegetables. Because that's the other thing we're talking about. Not only is the food not cooked, we're also, we're talking about plant food here. So fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds. But rather than looking at that as like, wow, that's so little, I mean, there's 120 varieties of avocado. And you could try a new fruit every day for the rest of your life and not even come close to scratching the surface of what's available. So there's really a lot. And that, combined with the fact that you can take these things and make actually gourmet recipes. These kids were just eating chocolate ice cream this morning, 5 minutes ago before we started. And that was good ice cream, right?
Yes, it was.
Yeah, I mean, the best ice cream that you've ever had, and it's made out of cashews. So that's what we're talking about. And the cheeseburger you're talking about, I'm not sure what page it's on, but maybe if you could find the Big Mac with cheese. I mean, this is a recipe that, if you serve this to someone at McDonald's, you're not going to trick them, but it incorporates all the elements, the good elements of a burger, without like the disgusting parts that you don't necessarily want. What page is that?
25.
Hold up the picture. I mean, that's a burger, right? And it's just, so with a little bit of imagination and some time in the kitchen, and you can do anything in the raw food world that you can do in the cooked food world, certainly. And that's what my focus is taking the precepts of this and making it accessible and tasty for people, so that it doesn't become a chore or something that they have to feel like they're sticking to, and it's actually enjoyable and really fantastic. So I first got into making food by taking recipes that things that I like to eat and things that I missed, and saying, okay, how can I do a raw version of this? And I would experiment with different ingredients, and it usually turned out really well, and a lot of times better. And started doing dinners for the public, and then making the food available for delivery. And as this is picking up steam, more and more people are getting interested in trying the food. And again, no one's sticking to it because it's how they feel and how it tastes, and that speaks louder than words. Anybody else?
Hi. My question for you is the information that I have on raw foods or living a raw lifestyle is that A, can be time consuming, and B, that it can be expensive. So I just wanted to find out from you how you made the transition, and do you end up cooking most of the time, and how much time does that take you, and all of the above?
In terms of the food preparation, there's a little more time on the front end, more chopping and stemming herbs and things like that. But then as soon as the food's done, it's ready to eat. You don't have to put it in the microwave or the oven for a half an hour and let it cook. So in the end, it really ends up being the same. And as I said, it's getting so much easier now in places, especially like New York, where, you can call up and have it delivered to your house. There's restaurants in every neighborhood. And in terms of being expensive, if you go to the supermarket and compare two things, the organic version might be slightly more, but in the end, the food is so high nutritionally that you end up eating far less. And I found that I eat probably a third of the food that I used to eat, and I weigh more now than I did when I was eating cooked food, because everything you eat has all of the nutrition still intact. So if you're eating, it's more about quality than quantity. So if you're eating food that's nutritionally devoid all the time, your body's always like, okay, I need more quantity because I'm not getting what I'm actually looking for. So to eat a really powerful meal of concentrated nutrition, that's a small portion. You get more for your money. And it's interesting how food is the only time when people don't get that if you wanted, the better thing always costs more money. If you're going to buy a Toyota, you can pay less, but if you want to buy a Ferrari, it's going to cost more. And we accept that with clothes and watches and DVD players, but somehow with food, we're like, oh, but isn't it going to cost more? Well, yeah, but it's better. Don't you want to spend more? Don't you want to know that you're getting more? And actually, what costs more? Like a Snickers bar that's $1, or a raw chocolate bar that's maybe 5 times that, but one's contributing to something completely different, and one's making you feel like, ready to set the world on fire. So it's actually, it's not spending money, it's investing money, because one is going to build your health, and you spend less money on doctors and dentists and going to the gym to lose weight. So it's and again, really in the end, it ends up being pretty much the same. Anyone?
Were you ever into sushi at all?
No, I skipped that stage. I've never tasted sushi.
I was wondering if you had any thoughts on that, but
Well, if I was ever going to interact with eating a fish, it would probably be raw. But as I said, I skipped that stage and just went for the gold, so to speak. But sushi restaurants are great for veggie rolls and things like that. Anything?
They have really great raw sushi at Pure Food and Wine, the raw food restaurant.
Yeah, we were just there for breakfast this morning, and again, if you're really a sushi fanatic, you can have all the same things that you're used to in the raw version, and it tastes better and better for you. Anything else? All right. Well, you're very lucky today because the gentleman that's going to be up here next is, in my opinion, and the opinion of others, probably the foremost expert on nutrition anywhere. And I've felt really lucky to be able to partake of his knowledge. And this is the time, if you have like some questions about the real deal on what's good. There was this excellent. You guys read The Onion here in New York? There was a great comic in The Onion a few weeks ago that this guy found what was called the answer eel, which was like a magical eel that answered any question that you wanted. And he said, all right, so every once in a while I hear, oh, this food's bad for you, this food's good for you, and I just want to know once and for all, what should I eat? And the answer eel said, fresh fruits and vegetables. And then the guy said, okay, well, what can I stuff in my face that won't kill me today? So that's kind of a good look at human nature. But now's a good time if you really want to get the skinny on what's really, truly like nutritionally superior. You've got your own answer eel. So David Wolfe.
Right on. Cool. It's a real honor and a pleasure to be here and to be with Matt Amsden. He's an old friend, and I think it was mentioned that he heard me on the Howard Stern show about 10 years ago and got interested in live food nutrition as a result of that. And because of that, he's become one of the leading chefs in the world. In my opinion, he's one of the leading chefs in the world, not just raw food chefs. And he can make raw food taste so darn good, you can't tell how it was made, where it came from, ice creams, cheeseburgers made out of plants, and all the stuff in between. It's really phenomenal. Chocolate bars made out of raw cocoa or raw cacao. This guy is a master at his craft, and he has a great restaurant, my favorite restaurant probably in the whole U.S., in Venice, California. So if you're ever there, please visit that. And he also has a delivery service right here in New York where they deliver food that is made based on his recipes right to your door. And what is it, RAWvolution.com, something like that? It's really, really an honor to be here at Google. Google has been near and dear to my heart because the first day that the stock came out, I bought it. Check this out. I made so much money on it, I bought a house. And so my house was paid for by Google stock. So I find it very synchronistic that this book, which is now in its third edition, Eating for Beauty, and you should have that in your lap right now. And if you don't, it's up there on the table, which is a book that I put together a number of years ago. It comes into its third edition and is released into the world today here at Google. So isn't that cool? Very exciting. Live food cuisine, raw food cuisine is a mission of mine. It's my all-consuming passion. Nutrition is an all-consuming passion. I believe that when you find your passion in life, nothing can stand in your way, and all the great veiled mysteries and secrets in your field will be revealed to you. I'm a super big believer that the internet can be used like an oracle, and you can find information there, and I appreciate all the internet gurus and wizards like you in this audience who've made it possible to access incredible information. And I believe in my heart that the most important information revolves around our relationship with the planet. And that relationship primarily in our day-to-day lives is a relationship of food, because that's the main thing that we're putting inside ourselves, is stuff that was one day, either pecking around in the back of a barn somewhere, or being grown on a farm, or being raised in California, upstate New York, in a greenhouse, or something like that. So if we can get that relationship really tuned into where the technology of our day is, we can really create great change. And that's what we're going to talk about here today, is the technology of nutrition and how we can take our lives from wherever we are all the way into this type of information and interface it appropriately for ourselves with a grain of common sense thrown in on top. And that's really important, that we take the information in and go, okay, is this sensible? Is this useful? Can I make use of it today? And how can I apply this to make a change in my life? And we can do that now easier than ever before because of the books, because of the information, because of the internet, and because it's a lot more fun now. It used to be like people going to health food stores and it was Bulgar wheat. That was health food. Well, no wonder people would rather eat milkshakes and cheeseburgers. I mean, who wants to eat that? Now we can eat what we want, as much as we want, when we want, with whom we want, without guilt, fear, or shame. I eat ice cream for breakfast all the time. I eat chocolate for breakfast constantly. I stay up all night all the time. I don't ever have to worry about crashing my immune system ever. It's actually impossible to become sick under any circumstances, even being on planes with the guy next to you, right, hacking a cough right into my lap. You know, it's impossible to become sick because with our technology of nutrition, that should become available to us. And I'm not talking about better living through chemistry. I'm talking about better living through common sense. When we talk about plant foods, we're talking about the basis of the food chain and the basis of what's real and normal. Now, I'm not going to say that everybody here should be a vegetarian tomorrow, but hey, it's probably a good idea to have more vegetarian food. And if we're going to have vegetarian food, what kind should it be? And we've discovered over the last 150 years of research, really centered in the United States and to some degree Europe, and to some degree India as well, that living food, that raw plants have more nutrition. They have more enzymes, more antioxidants, more available vitamins, more usable minerals. They have more life force energy. A cooked seed will not grow, and therefore they're probably better for us. I've been a raw foodist now 13 years as of yesterday, and you know what's amazing? I'm still alive. I mean, I had people telling me my left earlobe is going to fall off. You know, this is going to happen, that's going to happen, and those people were sincere, but they were sincerely wrong. Now, I make it a study of what I do in this field to make sure that the information that we're putting out there is as accurate as it can be based on our technology and our knowledge now. And that's what we're going to touch on right now. We're going to get into this step by step. I want to just backtrack a little bit. In this information, I had a vision years ago when I was traveling Europe of developing a company that was ecological, that put the raw food information out there as an educational resource and actually distributed raw foods. And that company has become Sun Food Nutrition, which is my company. Sunfood.com. Anybody ever heard of sunfood.com? It's a cool little website. And we run a green building. This is a green building built from the ground up, all eco. Now, this isn't just because we saw that film with Al Gore. This is because this is what we believe in. It's like, come on, if you're going to run a business, you've got to be a model for other businesses so that we create that template. And one day I'm going to be on the cover of Forbes magazine like this, back to back with my business partners saying, you know, green is cool. All businesses need to go green. Why? Because we can do it now. The prices are going down. The technology is available. And we're dealing with a world where lots of these products are really information products that have become either 100% ecologically sustainable products. This is all recycled paper, recycled inks, the whole show. Or they're figments of light. That's why Google's so cool. Because what you're dealing with is light. You ever think of it that way? So there's not that many of these things being printed up, really. It's all these images of light being transferred from one computer to the other in this database to the next database. This is a picture of inside our little store where we have all our little products. And this is my baby. This is like now a teenager, 13 years. And what a great opportunity to be able to assist people in improving their diets and really giving people not just some more chemicals, but organic, living food that has love in it. Organic, living food that has love in it, which is a rare commodity today, but we're turning a corner. It's awesome. This book, The Sun Food Diet Success System, really began my career, brought the whole thing out from
behind a veil. In live food, it was kind of a really small little niche when I got involved 13 years ago, really 15 years ago. Barely anybody ever heard of it. It was some weird thing that people ate wheatgrass until they had projectile emissions coming out of every orifice. Anybody here ever heard of wheatgrass? Anybody ever done so much wheatgrass that when you drive by someone mowing their lawn, you're heaving? I've been there. It gets ugly. We had to let that model go of trying to get healthy by suffering and killing ourselves, trying to save ourselves. And now we work with people like Matt who can present the food in such a way that it's just like, who's going to say no? Everybody's going to go, whoa, wait a second. It's ecological. It tastes good. It's raw. It's organic. No killing was involved. It's kind of a yes. Really great options become available all of a sudden. I look at food as art. And this is something I think you've all seen before, but in a different way. This food right here is the saguaro cactus fruit. And this is the giant cactus that grows in the Arizona desert. Anybody ever been to Phoenix, Tucson? You see those big cactus with the arms? That thing produces a fruit only 2 weeks out of the year, and I'm putting that up there because that, to me, is art. When I was 16 years old, my cousin moved into an apartment. He threw a big canvas on the ground. We broke out a bunch of paint, and we just scribbled and went crazy. And it kind of looked like that. Anyway, food's an art form. We're the heir to all the ages and the foremost ranks of all time. All our ancestors, their dreams are our dreams. Their hopes are our hopes. What they wanted for us, the pilgrims who came over here, if their butter failed, if they didn't get enough butter to get through winter, they were done. And a lot of them didn't make it. That was the only fat source they had. Now we have avocados, all kinds of nuts and seeds and olives and olive oil and incredible fruit shipped over from Asia like the durian fruit. And then there's things like this that suddenly become available. That's what that cactus looks like, just so you can see that. Art. Getting into food, not just as a presentation of art, but the food itself is art. Experiences like this, the great civilizations of the world, this is from the Incan peoples who, produced one of the most incredible sites in the world, Machu Picchu. This is an actual photograph that was taken of the magic of being in alignment with nature. And this is the high tech meets high touch that we're moving into that age now. High tech meets high touch, where we can take the great crops that were grown many thousands of years ago in these fields, and we can eat them now. We can get them. You can order them off the internet. You can order that stuff off the internet. Purple corn. Purple corn. There it is. You get it shipped right to your house. Great foods like chocolate. This is another book, Naked Chocolate, that we put out about 2 years ago now, which is the truth about chocolate. I didn't know chocolate was a nut. Cacao is a nut. It's the most widely eaten nut in the world. That's what all chocolate is made out of, this nut. It comes on a tree. That's the tree. You ever seen such a bizarre-looking tree? Look at this here. The fruit, instead of growing off the branches, grows off the trunk. This zaniness factor of chocolate. I'm showing this because this is what we get to have. This is the fun we get to have. We get to have chocolate now without the guilt, without the fear, without the shame, as much as we want, with whom we want, into the late night hours. It's awesome. I've been eating chocolate almost every day 5 years. And by the way, I thought it was poison before because I was a raw foodist. I was like, oh no, chocolate's some kind of like toxic something. I don't eat that. Then we found out about raw chocolate, got really into it, and now become really the biggest proponents of raw chocolate because there's got to be a food out there that is just making us feel really good that's legal, that doesn't wipe you out like coffee, that can give you like, boom, okay, I'm on it, aware, I can compute for 4 hours and not be jumping over here, there, everywhere, and that can bring us back into balance with the natural cycles. It comes in a fruit. That's the fruit. Comes in all colors, always in season. Never goes out of season. How many fruits can you name that never go out of season? What does that mean? It means chocolate's appropriate all the time. Inside are the beans, the nuts, the cacao or cocoa bean. You may have heard that before. This is a better picture of them.
100 times more people on the planet eat chocolate nuts, cacao beans, cocoa beans. CACAO is the word, sometimes spelled COCOA. You've ever seen that, like on a Hershey's thing? 100 times more people eat it, but they don't eat it. They eat a byproduct of it. Think of your whole life. Imagine, how many people here have eaten an almond? Everybody, since you were a child. Imagine you never had an almond before. You had almond powder, you had almond oil, you had stuff that tasted like almonds, but never actually had an almond nut before, whole. When we brought cacao back into the world, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, that's what we started providing people, is the real chocolate for the first time ever. Not some like artificial, massively processed, heavily chemicalized, antibioticized, pesticide sprayed, larvicide sprayed, genetically modified chocolate bar. Just normal, natural food. Isn't that fun? And you're probably hearing more and more about this. Antioxidants. How many people have heard the word antioxidant before? Pretty much all of us. The word's leaking out there. Turns out that chocolate, cacao, is the #1 antioxidant food going. On the ORAC score, and these vary, it depends on what kind of scale you're looking at, but in the scale we're using here, 621. Acai, anybody heard of acai? Comes in at 185, which is second. And then on down the line, we've got black raspberry. Goji berry comes in at 133. I forgot to put it on here. And then wild blueberries, 60. Remember how high they said that antioxidants were in blueberries, and they're very high? But they're not even in the same category as chocolate. Red wine's not even in the same ballpark as chocolate. Green tea is not even in the same ballpark. So in the antioxidant world, chocolate always has and always will be the #1 antioxidant. Now, why are we telling you that? Because it's such an irony that for 10 years ago, chocolate's poison. Women would be like, yeah, it's poison, but I got to have it. 5 years ago, men were like, yeah, chocolate's, they wouldn't eat it, but women were like, yeah, chocolate's good. I eat it. Now it's like, I eat chocolate because it's the best ever and I need it because it's good for me and it has everything going for it. This is kind of what's going on with raw and living food. We're removing the veils and getting right to the source. And this is what we're allowing you to do, is to get away from all those additives and ingredients on packages and all that. Can you imagine having to read labels for the next 20 years? Who wants to do that? I never do that. I never have to worry about that ever again. All my food is raw, organic, it's plant-based, and so I feel safe. I feel safe. Not only that, it has everything in it. Delicate nutrients that are destroyed by heat. Things that work on your brain chemistry. Is it possible to become smarter by nutrition? Absolutely. Is it possible to become dumber based on nutrition? Absolutely. Is it possible to actually meet your genetic potential with the right nutrition? Of course. Of course it is. Is it possible that we ate for all our lives? I grew up on Lucky Charms, Fruit Loops, Flintstones chewable vitamins, some kind of thing that looked like milk. It had other stuff in there. And now I know the difference because I've been through those iterations of those different diets. Now I'm a vegetarian because I like eating vegetarian food. And I don't think that everyone has to be, but man, you can really benefit from having some live food in your diet. If you get some raw chocolate in your diet, I know it sounds impossible, but you could smile more. It can happen. You could laugh more. Matt alluded to something very interesting, and that is feeling good all the time. People don't do well. They don't do well at their job primarily because they don't feel well. Why do people not feel well? You ever gone on a vacation, the first day you have some big dinner, you feel sick to your stomach, you're sick for 3 days, you ruin the vacation? It's usually food related. And this is a way of backtracking to something that's simple and something that's fun and something that's entertaining, right? And heart, chocolate hearts, the energy of heart. That's the green energy, the green food energy. Getting out of our head, getting into our heart. High tech and high touch. Goji berries. This is another great fun one. And I just give you the heavy guns because I know we only have about 20 minutes. So, of course, lettuce and celery, awesome. Fruits and vegetables, apples, oranges, great, best ever. I'm assuming you know that already. I'm assuming that nuts and seeds like almonds and pecans, cashews, you already know that it's all good. Seeds, flax seeds and hemp seeds and sesame seeds and pumpkin seeds, it's all good. Seaweed, that's one of the great things that sushi restaurants have actually brought to our consciousness. This whole understanding of seaweed, because before sushi restaurants were around, people were like, seaweed, what the hell are you talking about? Are you out of your mind? Now it's like, oh yeah, seaweed, no problem. One of the best foods in the world is seaweed. And man, this guy, you should see the kind of seaweed salad this guy makes. It's the best in the world. Sprouts, of course, that's in the game. And of course, things like wheatgrass is in the game. But I really like to focus on where the real fun is, which is like raw chocolate, goji berries. This is the #1 food in Chinese medicine. #1, 8,000 food herbs, 5,000 years of history. And this is the #1 thing? That means something. And when you eat them, you kind of go, okay, now I know what's going on here. And I grew up on Sun-Maid raisins. Those real, God, they were probably sprayed with God knows what kind of heinous chemicals. Now I eat this. Now I feed kids this. We did a retreat in British Columbia a couple weekends ago, and there was 25 kids there with their parents. So we had about 100 people and then 25 kids on top of that. What an experience to be feeding these kids. Some of them, it's the first time really having a raw food experience. And they're guzzling this stuff down, and I'm like going, whoa. When I was 3 years old, I was lucky if I had something other than Lucky Charms in the day. I was lucky if I had something other than Fruity Pebbles. And kids get this now. Incredible. Times are changing. And then this is also a fun thing that I do. I get to go out into the world and really do the wildcrafting to connect people through the internet to this, which is pictures of the real plant. That's a goji berry bush. Isn't that cool? So when you get onto a website these days, you can actually not only see what the food looks like, see what you're getting, but you can connect to a story of where it's coming from, where it's grown, how it looks when it's growing wildly on the plant. See all the goji berries on there? And what an experience. You never could get that before. The internet is creating freedoms unknown before. In terms of that, this whole control of information, gone. Why? Because you can just Google it. That's why I bought stock in Google, by the way. I thought, whoa, it's a word in the English vocabulary. I better get this. And then we bring this into a nice presentation. This is one of the things I really love is as a kid, I was an artist, and it's something that all of you probably are too. You have that artistic flair about you. Some of you are more data-oriented. Some of you are artistically oriented. But presenting things in an artistic way is what I really love. You take a food that has the high vibration, that's the organic, that's got the superfood level qualities in it, that's got all the minerals, all the vitamins, all the amino acids. A little food like goji berries, this little thing growing on this plant there, has all amino acids in it. It's a complete protein source. You know how unusual that is in a fruit? And so people can get this and their blood sugar stays stable. Being able to discover these things and access them through the internet, it's awesome. It's never been around before. So the centralized control of information has been destroyed. It's gone. It's not like 3 networks anymore, CBS, NBC, ABC. Now we got the internet. Now we got search engines. Remember when the whole search engine thing happened? And you can go out and go, yeah, if I'm going to put something in my mouth, why not have it the best I can do at that moment? And then over time, sometimes we come to a presentation like this. I know how I am. I'm kind of aggro when it comes to this kind of stuff. I want it now. Like, where is it? Let's eat it. We got to be a little bit patient with ourselves because it took us a long time to get where we are. We get food habits, and sometimes we can be addicted to certain foods or whatever it is. And then over time, those things just wash away like waves crashing against the beach. And then we restore ourselves to our natural and normal metabolic balance. And then we open up an incredible possibility. And it's why I do the work that I do ultimately is that if we can live longer, if we can be more clear in our day. Let's just say we get 2 extra hours a day of clear working time. In 1 year, that is a month. In 1 year, that's an extra month of time. Over a period of 10 years, it's almost a year, 12 years, it will be an extra year of time. So we can actually get more out of our time. I'm probably like you, I know there's a few people like me in this room, and that is, I'm a hardcore kind of a worker. Our team here, hardcore. There's no yacht waiting in something down the road for me. My work is my passion, it is my play, it is totally what enthuses me to the nth of my being all day long, all night long. And so I want to be in a situation where I'm here longer, I can work harder, I can be more clear, my brain's functioning all the days of my life. That technology now becomes available. And the first step into that is just an awareness. It's not a diet. It's not some kind of like trip that gets dumped in your lap that you got to deal with. It's just an awareness that raw, living plant foods is a good, organic, is a good starting point to transform ourselves at the cellular level and transform our health, and even more importantly, actually, transform our consciousness. I learned through many years of experience that you are what you eat was way more powerful than I could have ever known. Because everybody eats pretty much the same stuff. You know, in China, they eat the same stuff as they eat in America, as they eat in South Africa, as they eat in South America. It's very similar. Corn, wheat, soy, barley, potato, chicken, meat from cow, dairy from goat, processed chocolate, processed coffee. Maybe there's a few other, rice I think is in there. I'm not sure if I mentioned that. And there's, of course, cassava root or yucca root, which is one of the most widely eaten foods in the world. That's about the top 14 or 15 foods in the world. And that's what most people eat. When we get into real chocolate, goji berries, some of these superfoods, real wide varieties of fruits. When I'm at home, I eat wild blueberries, wild raspberries, wild spikenard berries, which is like a ginseng. It looks like ginseng. Wild honey, wild bee pollen, and I mix that up in a big thing, and that's my breakfast. I feel a lot different now than I did when I was on Lucky Charms. Really different. And it's all sustainable, and it's outrageous. The level of health is outrageous. It's, we look at the world and we can go, it's death, pain, fire, destruction, war, famine, greed, hate, pessimism, doubt. But nothing's out of balance in the universe. That's just one side of the coin. The other side of the coin, more spiritual information becomes available now than ever before. More food information, the right food, real food that really makes a difference becomes available now. The ability to enjoy ourselves more becomes even more available now. Real freedom of information. People aren't jumping on rafts to go to Siberia. Have you noticed? They're trying to get over here. Why are they getting over here? Because information is here. And so they come over here to get the information, the opportunity, the creative, expressive abilities. More of that now becomes available. There's more job opportunity right now in America than ever before in the whole history of this nation. And the right kind of jobs. Information tech kind of work, which again is dealing with images of light. No longer do massive volumes of books and stuff have to be printed. Now we go all online. It's awesome. So we are presented in our time with incredible choices, and Matt and I come here to just turn you on to a whole new possibility, and you just interface it in a way that's fun. Make sure, if you're in a diet thing that's causing you some kind of frustration or guilt, just drop it. Get out of it. Because if we can eat food, let's just say eat it with joy in our heart, and if we can eat food like this with joy in our heart, lo and behold, we don't know where it can lead, because very few people have actually ever had that opportunity. We're like the first generation to ever have this opportunity. It's awesome. And I totally appreciate you guys being here today, by the way. It's super cool to turn yourself onto this information, and then you play with it. You eat at the cafeteria here, the raw live cuisine that they have, and you go, whoa,
I feel good after lunch. I don't have that after lunch 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock crashing happening anymore. My blood sugar feels better. I feel like I'm getting nourished at the cellular level. My stomach feels good. I feel like everything's moving through nicely. I feel a little clearer. And this continues to grow. What Matt said, I've known Matt for 10 years. I've seen him transform. He went from junk food right to live food like one day, like that. I don't recommend doing that, but if you do it, he can help you. But I've seen the transformation. It's outrageous. It is outrageous. Not just a transformation, again, of what's going on at the cellular level, but it's what's going on at the consciousness level. What creates an enterprise like this? It's not door-to-door salesmanship. It's a consciousness about where we're going with information, where our world's going, and it's a type of freedom that we want to make available to everybody. Awesome. Okay, are there any questions about any and all of this? Question over here.
Where do I get some of this chocolate?
Where do you get some of this chocolate? I'm sure we've got some in a bag over here somewhere. We have, what about that ice cream? Do you have a little bit of that? We might have to just run back there and give him an immediate scoop of chocolate ice cream.
It's gone, actually.
Oh, look at these guys. We'll get you something. Hang tight. Question back here. Oh, raw chocolate smoothies upstairs. So we're going to retire upstairs in about 2 minutes, and then we'll have some raw chocolate smoothies, do a little book signing, and have even more fun than we're having right now. Okay, question over here, this gentleman.
You didn't recommend going cold turkey, right?
Cold cucumber.
Cold cucumber. How do you recommend that? And second part is, very often food is, overeating is a result of stress. Are there certain things that you recommend that help you in that transition or affect your appetite?
Excellent question. Okay, well, number one thing is, how do you make the transition? The best way to do it is in a way that's appropriate for you. It was communicated to me a number of years ago that the best way to really approach people is with chocolate, because chocolate goes right to the heart. There's nothing in, people get neurotic about food. They get crazy. But chocolate just speaks right to the heart, and it bypasses all those little valves and shut-off switches. That's one way. So you get into raw chocolate and then go, whoa, let me just see what else I can do. And then you start adding other live foods to your raw chocolate drinks or what you're making at home, I do the drinks because it's easy, because I'm busy. It's like, I got to throw everything in there, hit the button, throw it in a container, run out the door. You can then start adding berries and others like superfoods. I like to put aloe vera, for example, in my drinks. I like to put maca, which is a great superfood from South America, in there. I like to put bee products like honey in there, which is an incredible superfood. And you just start adding things in that way. Another way is make sure you have an organic salad a day. That's another great way to interface with the information. If you have an organic salad a day, then there's an old saying, it says, a salad a day keeps acidosis away. What does that mean? We can become too acidic, we can start getting stomach problems, digestive disorders, and then that acidity really cascades or landslides into other major problems. How do we make sure we have a balance? Well, one of the best ways to balance ourselves is to have one organic salad a day. Another appropriate way to do it. Another thing you can do is just being oriented when you walk into a store to go towards organic food and to go towards the fruit and vegetable section just as an awareness. It's going to be different for everybody, but I can guarantee you just having an awareness of it, you'll walk into a store differently, even today. At the end of the day today, you'll look at things and go, well, you know what? I don't really want to have that sugary whatever. Let me just have an apple. That's great. The other piece of that was, what was that other last piece? Stress. Vegetables are really good for stress. When we chew, the chewing experience, we increase serotonin by as much as 4 times. So our chewing reflex to deal with stress is a natural one. The thing that's the problem is when we put into our mouth something that is really fattening, that has a lot of side effects. If you chew vegetables, let's say cucumbers. For me, it's cucumbers. That's what I really like to chew on if I'm really under a lot of stress. Then you can chew, go through maybe 2 or 3 cucumbers. There's no calories. It's 100% good for you. It's water rich. And then you increase your serotonin and you deal with stress better. It helps you create that stress defense shield. Another food that's, of course, excellent for this is chocolate. Have a little chocolate, right? It's like coffee has this effect to some degree. It'll get you to go and get things going. But it can do so without any side effects. So that's another way to approach it. Question over here.
So what are your thoughts on buying this kind of product like goji beans and nut mixes at places like Trader Joe's? Because they tend to have a lot of really good products, but like, you know, when you get their dried blueberries or their goji beans, there's always fructose in it and there's always additives in it. And I mean, what do you think the difference is like ordering that stuff online versus, okay, there's a little fructose in it?
It's a big difference. And where is the difference? It comes down to the love. It's people who really are on target with, like, to be an organic farmer, to put the goji berries in a container, you know, to put something like this onto the market that has no sulfur dioxide on it, no fructose sprayed on it, it's not easy. It takes a lot of effort. You have to go through a lot of bureaucracy. The margins are much slimmer in this industry. I've been in this industry 13 years. I'd probably be a billionaire right now if I was in some industry that didn't care. You know, it's difficult because your margin, instead of being 10 to 1, it's 3 to 1. And the love is there. So it's worth it going the extra mile to feed that organic farmer who's really working hard and really wants your support, but I'm the voice of that organic farmer. You know, I'm in front of you because they don't have a voice. Maybe they don't know how to do the public speaking. Maybe they don't know how to do the marketing, but they do know how to farm. And so someone's got to get out there and kind of, you know, toot their horn and say, hey, these guys are really working hard and they need your support. And that's why I ask you to go the extra mile for that.
Just someone who is the big resource in New York City for local wild foods in terms of teaching people how to find them in the parks is Wildman Steve Brill. And you can find him on the internet, Wildman Steve, and Brill is B-R-I-L-L. He does a walk like every single day, and he even is no one turned away in terms of cash. He'll take anybody on his walk.
That's such a powerful knowledge to have. That kind of education is also available online, by the way, because you can go, let's say you take Wildman's class, okay? You forget what did that plant look like? Which one is it? You go to Google Images, right? And you click on dandelion, boom, there's 30 pictures of it. We never had that before. You used to get the books and you'd be like, is this that? What is this? I don't know. I'm not going to eat that. What if I die? You know, now you literally just go, I don't know. Let me just check Google Images. There it is. Incredible resource. This is what I'm saying about freedom. It's just increasing and increasing and increasing. It's awesome. Okay, let's take one more question, and then we're going to head up there.
Is there a question back here? Okay, last question, and then we're going to head upstairs.
You talk about converting adults and whatnot to raw foods. How would you do like young infants or children? How would you do it slowly?
Good question. Kids are generally a little easier because kids have more of an instinct for natural things. You know, the Midwest farmer's daughter with the grass in her mouth, you know, the blade of straw. Why is that? It's because when the younger that you are, generally the more the food instincts are intact. I really like to feed kids the real strong stuff. For example, goji berries. Goji berries have been fed to kids for 5,000 years. It's been known in Chinese medicine that if a kid's not really growing properly or not kind of developing quickly enough, you feed them goji berries to get their hormones going. That's human growth hormone, actually the only food ever found in the whole history of the world that helps your body to naturally produce more human growth hormone is goji berries. Chocolate, of course, is a great way, depending on the child's age. If a child's like 1 year old, it's a little too early for chocolate. Say a child's 3 years old. I was in Peru this year, and I was staying at my friend Leslie's place way out in the hills, and a group of people showed up with their kids. And they're kind of like vegetarians and not very well, pretty much on the bottom of the economic totem, and I could tell that, hey, like this little child really, this 3-year-old child needs real nutrition, and I had one of my little chocolate bars, one of my raw chocolate bars, so I fed this child, and I'm sure it was the first time that child had ever had chocolate like that, ever, and I knew that there's so much nutrition in raw chocolate, it's outrageous. One of the reasons why chocolate is such a great food in our culture is because it's so nutritious. It's the #1 source of magnesium, #1 source of iron. Almost any, you can't name a food that has more iron than chocolate has, which is unbelievable. I've done the research, the technical research. Anyway, I fed this to that child. You can't believe, the feeling in my heart was unbelievable. You couldn't believe what happened to that kid. That kid was like, oh my God. It was like chills over the whole kid's body, and the experience and then the nutrition that follows. And then, the kid was like going crazy for another hour playing in their little play world. It's really cool. Other things, you start introducing green food to kids so that kids have a natural understanding of what parsley is and lettuce, and just let them play with it at first, and make sure that when kids are real young, say 4, 5, 6, just when after their teeth come in, they start chewing things, that you introduce them to salad and bring that into their diet, because that will be really important for their bone strength as they grow and the health of their teeth. Vegetables. Okay, we good?
I think we're good.
Right on.
Matt, David, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Incredible
It's been a
information.
pleasure. Thank you.